This is Residence 104.4 FM. Flippin' marvellous. How you doing? I'm Nick Hennegan, and welcome to another edition of Literary London, where we talk about things, well, kind of literary and kind of Londony, but as you know, if you're a regular, I rarely stick to it. And this is a kind of is it a celebration, a commemoration? Because this is actually the final show before our summer break. Yep. Summer 2026. And if you're in the UK, you'll know we've had a kind of a weird year. It was a very wet winter and it's been an extremely dry summer. Here, as I'm doing this in July 2026, we're just coming out of the third heat wave of the summer. Wales, land of my fathers, well, actually land of my mothers, but it doesn't really matter. North Wales have declared a drought, an official drought. So it's all kind of, kicking off, life, love and everything. However, there are, of course, one or two things about the summer which you may be aware of. And if not, I shall reach over here and tell you all about it. Because, of course, usually every August I am heading north of the border from London to Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Festival, or more precisely the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. The first time I went there was actually 1992, don't you know? I came home a bit drunk from the pub one night in 1992 in Birmingham. Britain's second city! Did I tell you that? If you've been on my London literary pub crawl, by the way, in Soho and Fitzrovia, you'll know all about this. Yes, Birmingham, Britain's second city, arguably its first city. Is London a city? Well, not really, because the city of London's a small... All right, I won't go on about it now. Manchester, you can have capital of the north. You can have your new Prime Minister, or our new Prime Minister. I'm going to talk about that in a moment as well, because that's been quite interesting politically. But no, north to Edinburgh, the world's biggest open arts festival. I shall, as I say, 1992, I did a play. I came a little bit tired with the wine, and saw the film that Kenneth Branagh made of Henry V by William Shakespeare. And he put a bit of modern emotion in it, and he also, I realised that Shakespeare spent a lot of time apologising. His chorus is his storyteller. Shakespeare has a storyteller called Chorus, who spends a lot of time apologising. Can we contain the vasty fields of France inside this little wooden O? Referring to the theatre. And I thought, well, I can do that. Yeah, I can apologise. And like I say, I was a bit tired with the wine, so I decided to write a one-person version of Shakespeare's arguably biggest production, biggest play. One character, me. I was going to do it myself originally. I mean, I've not really done acting, but I thought I'd give it a go. And then a mate of mine, one character, one actor plays 12 parts, and I called it Henry V, Lion of England. And because a mate of mine who was staying with me at the time as a teacher, he read my first ramblings on me Amstrad word processor, Amstrad PCW. Hey, ask your parents. In fact, no, they probably won't remember it either. Ask your grandparents. No, they won't remember it either because it was fairly fringe. But anyway, there you go. I was writing on my Amstrad PCW. Was it a 9512? And does it really matter? No, it doesn't. And this teacher went, that's quite good. So that was enough for me. I ended up writing this whole thing, about an hour and 20 minutes. And then a mate of mine, who was a good artist, did a poster, and his girlfriend at the time said, Rob Williams, my partner at the time, he said, he writes music. I went, does he? So anyway, Rob then wrote a music track for Henry V, Lion of England, and he got the usual fee, a pint. Yep. And in fact, he's written music for a lot of plays, because we did this for one night at the Midlands Arts Centre in Birmingham, Britain's second city. Yeah, and we did it for one night, and two things happened. One, there was Big Ron, who used to smoke a lot. He was at 200 fags a day, man. He was 200 cigarettes a day. Never been to the theatre before, but he came. It was a puppet theatre. It was called the Hexagon, a little puppet theatre, sort of 80-seater. And I bribed all my mates to come, and people were going, what's Hennegan up to now? Plus the fact it only lasts about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes, and there's an original music score, and I added lots of explosions and bombs, and a mate of mine, Rob Vomit, we called him, because the first time I met him, he went, I won't tell you what he did the first time we met him, but that's why we called him Rob Vomit, and he came to help me out with the script. So anyway, he was better than me, and he was better looking as well, let's be honest. So he performed it, and we did it for an hour, and we did it at the Midlands Arts Centre in Britain's second city, Birmingham. And then at the end, two things happened. Big Ron came up to me, as I say, he went, do you know what? That was brilliant. I ain't seen a play before. I sat by the door so I could nip out for a fag, but I didn't. And then the other thing that happened was rather nice. A bloke came up to us and said, we'd rather like to take you to the Edinburgh Festival. And I went, what? What's the Edinburgh Festival? Because I actually didn't know. And that was a chap called John Starkey, who ran a company, or was with Les Ward, had a company called Star Ward. And at the time, they were managing people like Jasper Carrott and Phil Cool. So they took us up to Edinburgh in 1992. And it kind of ruined my life, really, because I was up there and everywhere. I don't know if you've been to the Edinburgh Fringe, but everywhere becomes a performance space. And it suddenly occurred to me on our council estate in Britain's second city, Birmingham, the reason we didn't go to the theatre, it wasn't about intellect, it was just that no one asked us. So I set up Maverick Theatre and we started doing plays at the Billesley pub. R.I.P. I gather the Billesley pub in Birmingham, in Billesley, has just shut down recently. It was a shame. It was a very big pub. There's been a pub on that site for over 100 years. But anyway, we started doing plays, and that's what kind of ruined my life. And I ended up going to Edinburgh very regularly. And I can't believe I'm telling you all this now, partly because, well, there's two things, obviously. We need to talk about what you can do over August if you're living in the UK, or what you can access online, of course, because there's a lot of online stuff. But principally, of course, I mentioned Rob Williams. If you are in London in August, then of course the one thing you must do is come and see my play. And when I see my play, it's called Winston and David. And it's about Winston Churchill and David Lloyd George. And it's actually written by Robert Lloyd George, who is David Lloyd George's great-great-grandson, I think. And we actually performed this in 2022 at the Edinburgh Fringe, and it sold out and did rather well and got some great reviews from the Scotsman and Fringe Review and places like that. And it's basically the story of Winston Churchill and David Lloyd George, two great men, of course, and their wrestle with love, ambition and friendship, and why Britain arguably went to war in 1914, the First World War, unnecessarily because of that friendship. That's a big claim, isn't it? I know I'm teasing you. But as I say, written by Robert Lloyd George, I adapted it and directed it. And it's rather, I have to say it's rather good. It's because that's why I'm not going to the Edinburgh Fringe. I am actually going up to the Edinburgh Fringe for a short time, but towards the end of the festival. So if you have got a show up there, then do keep in touch. You can always email me. I'm slightly overwhelmed with them at the moment, but nick@bohemianbritain.com, N-I-C-K, @bohemianbritain.com. And we'll talk about the other festivals, but I thought I'd play you this. This is a little track, just to give you a sample. Rob Williams, as I say, I did Henry V Lion of England back in 92, and then I wrote a version of Hamlet called Hamlet Horatio's Tale, which I was very fortunate, the great actor Sir Derek Jacobi, here, all bow, Sir Derek Jacobi, he agreed to do the voice of old Hamlet for me. And that went rather well. Then I wrote a play called Pals, Pete, Andy, Linda, Sue, about 4 kids growing up on a council estate, which didn't feature Shakespeare at all, really. And for all of these, well, in fact, not quite Pals, but for all of these, Rob, my original works, Ghost of a Chance, which we did in London last Easter. Rob also wrote music for that. And, of course, Winston and David, which is on at the Tabard Theatre, which is in Chiswick in West London. And it runs from the 6th to the 29th of August. I can't believe I'm having to read this. It's my own play as well. And if you want to know any more, have a look online. I don't need to say that now, do I? We're a bit more switched on now, yeah. Have a look online, tabard.org.uk, Winston and David. But I thought I'd play maybe a couple of little tracks from the music of the demo tape that Rob did for me, Rob Williams. So this is Rob Williams, his music from Winston and David, Part 1. work in progress by Rob Williams called Corridors, as featured. And hopefully you'll try and come and see it if you're in London in August 2026. Winston and David by Robert Lloyd George, the story of a special relationship. And I adapted it. It's written by Robert Lloyd George, who is David Lloyd George's great-great-grandson. He used sort of various documents, family documents and things which weren't widely known, which gives it its appeal, I think. And as I say, we were very well received. It sold out at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2022. 5-star reviews from the likes of the Scotsman and Fringe Review. If you are around, it's on the Tabard Theatre, tabard.org.uk from the 6th to the 29th of August 2026. We're doing it's my birthday on the 14th. Yeah. Normally I'm in Edinburgh, you see, so for the last 10 years or so I've been at the Edinburgh Fringe. I'll be in London this time, so I'm going to try and get some of my folks to come down from Birmingham, Britain's second city. So, yes, if you are around, the Tabard is in Chiswick, West London, opposite the big church there, just round the corner from Turnham Green Tube Station. And it'd be good to see you. So, yes, Winston and David, tabard.org.uk. I'm Nick Hennegan. This is Literary London. It's our final show before the summer break. I'm croaking a bit. I'm not sure whether it's because of the football. I don't know if you watch the World Cup at all. I'm not massively into football, soccer, but it was quite entertaining. And there's a good pub around the corner. That always sort of makes things even better with a good bunch of lads and lasses. So I spent most of the time, watching it. And maybe I've been shouting a bit too loud. I needed to warm up, darling, didn't I? Yes, very, very, very rude of me. Terribly, terribly, yes. I should have known better. Anyway, back in the real world. The other thing, of course, if you're around in August, the other big event, which I've already alluded to, because I am normally there, and in fact, I will be up there for the third week, is the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which runs from the 7th to the 31st of August. And it's the biggest, or the Fringe at least. The Edinburgh International Festival still runs, and in fact there are a number of festivals that happen during August. The film festival used to happen, but they got slightly overshadowed, I think, I am assuming, so they moved away from the August window. But certainly the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, the Fringe Festival ran, I think it was 1948. The International Festival was happening, and it was all very grandeur and opera and very highbrow stuff. I mean, brilliant stuff, but very highbrow. So a bunch of students, of course, probably Oxbridge, they would have been, when Oxford or Cambridge decided to try and gate crash a little bit, and so they started a fringe to the Edinburgh International Festival. And now, of course, as we all know, in a sense, the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is the main event. It's the biggest open arts festival in the world. I mean, I have to say, I've met some fantastic, fascinating and lovely people there. It's kind of madness. I've written a version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, again, for one person. I did it about 6 years ago. And it was actually in Edinburgh at Christmas last year, and I went up to Edinburgh out at festival time. I mean, Edinburgh is a beautiful city at any time of the year, but it was very interesting being there when the Fringe wasn't happening. I mean, the big venue that I used to love and hang out at, and I had a few shows on, it's a car park. What? Literally, yeah. Yeah. I went looking for I thought I'd go for a drink, where I normally go. It's the Pleasance Courtyard. Pleasance is one of the big venue suppliers. And I got there. It's a car park. Where's the bar gone? Hey, go. Strike me. So the Edinburgh International Fringe Festival, it's the biggest open arts festival in the world, runs from the 7th to the 31st of August. Have a look online if you want to know more, edfringe.com. I was going to try and get someone to come and talk to you exclusively about it, but I left it a bit late. So have a look for yourself, edfringe.com. From the performance point of view, it's getting accommodation has always been a bit of a problem. Personally, I found it's got kind of ridiculous. I was paying £3,000 a week to rent a shared student digs. That's quite a lot of money, isn't it? But anyway, money aside, it's still an incredible experience, both for performers and, of course, for audiences. And I'm only up there for 5 days this year, which is going to be very odd. So I'm going to have to see a few mates and a lot of other things. But in that month, there are over 3,000 events. So, yeah, have a look at edfringe.com. And another a chap, a friend who I met, actually through a connection with Griff Rhys-Jones, we did a thing called the Dylan Thomas Festival. And because I wrote, and now I'm running at the moment, presenting the London Literary Pub Crawl, and we deal quite a lot with Dylan Thomas. And that was where I met Guy Masterson. And he's a good old bloke, is Guy Masterson. He is an actor and a performer, and he's got a great work ethic. He's now performing my Christmas Carol. It's going out again this Christmas. I think this will be our 7th year, our 8th year, touring the United Kingdom. It was in New York as well a couple of years ago. And he's got a whole... It's interesting because Guy said to me, years ago, every year I say, I'm never going to do this again. And he's got a massive stable of shows happening, including a kind of a comedy. It's called 11 and a Half Men. Now, I mention that because a few years ago he did a show that did very, very well, called 12 Angry Men. And I think, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, he couldn't get the rights to do it again. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. I haven't spoken to Guy about it. But and it's happening again in Edinburgh. So if you're around, it's basically, it's a sort of a spoof. 11 and a half very angry comedians. It's got people like Joe Pasquale making his Fringe debut, I should say, Joe Pasquale, Stephen K. Amos, a regular as well, Mark Mayer, Glenn Wall, Phil Nichol, David Calvito, good old David Calvito, and Owen O'Neill. So that should be worth a good look if you're in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Fringe. So check it out. I'll say it's edfringe.com. And I thought I'd play you this because Guy Masterson, he's very loosely related to Richard Burton, and you'll know this if you talk to Guy for long. I'm only joking, mate. But and I thought I'd play you this because it's kind of appropriate. This is Richard Burton with his incredible, of course, voice reading Dylan Thomas. Yep, the Welsh wizard himself. And this is The Boys of Summer.
I see the boys of summer in their ruin lay the gold tithings barren, setting no store by harvest, freeze the soils. There in their heat the winter floods of frozen loves they fetch their girls, and drown the cargoed apples in their tides. These boys of light are curdlers in their folly, sour the boiling honey. The jacks of frost they finger in the hives. There in the sun the frigid threads of doubt and dark they feed their nerves. The signal moon is zero in their voids. I see the summer children in their mothers split up the brawned womb's weathers, divide the night and day with fairy thumbs. There in the deep with quartered shades of sun and moon they paint their dams as sunlight paints the shelling of their heads. I see that from these boys shall men of nothing stature by seedy shifting, or lame the air with leaping from its heats. There from their hearts the dog-dayed pulse of love and light bursts in their throats. Oh, see the pulse of summer in the ice. But seasons must be challenged, or they totter into a chiming quarter. Where punctual as death we ring the stars, there in his night the black-tongued bells the sleepy man of winter pulls, nor blows back moon and midnight as she blows. We are the dark deniers. Let us summon death from a summer woman, a muscling life from lovers in their cramp, from the fair dead who flush the sea, the bright-eyed worm on Davy's lamp, and from the planted womb the man of straw. We summer boys in this four-winded spinning, green of the seaweed's iron, hold up the noisy sea and drop her birds, pick the world's ball of wave and froth to choke the deserts with her tides, and comb the county gardens for a wreath. In spring we cross our foreheads with the holly, hey-ho the blood and berry, and nail the merry squires to the trees. Here love's damp muscle dries and dies, here break a kiss in no love's quarry. Oh, see the poles of promise in the boys. I see you, boys of summer, in your ruin, man in his maggots barren, and boys are full and foreign in the pouch. I am the man your father was. We're the sons of flint and pitch, who see the poles are kissing as they cross.
The brilliant Uncle Richard. I See the Boys of Summer by Dylan Thomas, written of course, spoken of course by Richard Burton. We're almost at the end of the show, and I kind of also must point out as well, of course, that apart from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and apart from Winston and David at the Tabard Theatre in Chiswick in West London during August, the other big event, which I shall catch some of, is the Edinburgh International Book Festival. The Edinburgh International Book Festival runs from the 15th to the 30th of August. All sorts of, over 600 events there, some very well-known authors, and they'll come and do talks, and then there's a brilliant sort of area where you can buy books. I try and stay away from that, because Edinburgh's quite expensive, particularly if you're performing, and I always embarrass myself financially when I go into the book tent, because who doesn't need another book? I put it down to the fact that I wrote and presenting at the moment the London Literary Pub Crawl. That's my excuse, but it's a fantastic festival, the International Book Festival. The people that run it are lovely. So that runs from the 15th to the 30th of August. There's over 600 events. And if you want to know more, have a look at edbookfest.co.uk. edbookfest.co.uk, the Edinburgh International Book Festival. And of course, I must mention as well, if you are in London, and I know a lot of you listen around the world to this, which is lovely. Thank you very much for doing so. And hello to Kath from California. I haven't heard from Kath in California for a few weeks. I hope you're all right, Kath. She's been emailing me for years now, saying, I listen on the beach, looking out at the sun and the sea. Oh, I've got to play another song before we finish if we've got time, talking about sun and sea. But I must mention, if you are in London, the Camden Fringe. The Camden Fringe in London. Camden, obviously an area of London. And that runs from the 3rd to the 30th of August. So it's kind of it competes in one sense with the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, but it's not. I mean, there's a lot of Fringe productions. They've got over 450 shows this year. So if you are in town still, as they say, if you're in London, check out camdenfringe.com. camdenfringe.com. As always, if you'd like to get in touch with me, then do so. I don't think I've got time for that piece of music. It was going to be Bobby Goldsborough, Summer the First Time. Shall we try it? Oh, no, we don't. Do you know what? I'll play it for you the next time we come together. So thank you very much for your company. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to Resonance 104.4 FM, London's art station. And chiefly, of course, thank you for listening to me waffle on. Again, if you'd like to get in touch, Nick, N-I-C-K, at bohemianbritain.com is my new email. Nick at bohemianbritain.com. You can still do radio at mavericktheatre.co.uk, by the way, but I'm getting slightly overwhelmed with emails. Oh, how popular am I? Well, 2 or 3 a day. It's more than I could go with, really. And hopefully have a fantastic summer. And I hopefully will see you, if you're in London, for Winston and David by Robert Lloyd George, the great grandson of David. And we're at the Tabard Theatre in Chiswick, W4. Tabard.org.uk is their website. It's a Maverick Theatre production. That's the flyer. Yeah, I'm reading it, of course I am. Oh, wow. And what can I do now? Summer. I suppose I might have to go to the pub. Yeah, all right. Thank you very much for your company. I'll see you when the sun's gone down. I'm Nick Hennegan. This is Literary London. We're on bohemianbritain.com, of course, bohemianbritain.com. But chiefly, of course, this is London's art station, Resonance 104.4 FM.